The move that changed everything. Lee Vance hadn't planned to die in deep space. But here he was, drifting near a decaying red dwarf, life support at 23%, oxygen at 12 hours, power reserves blinking red, and no signal response from any civilized sector. Just another job, he thought. Just another haul through a supposedly quiet route. No pirates, no interference, no malfunctions, until every system failed simultaneously. Eli sat in the pilot's chair, helmet in his lap, sweat clinging to his neck despite the failing temperature regulators. A soft hissing sound echoed from behind a wall panel, the hiss of pressurized gas escaping. He glanced at it, already knowing there was nothing more he could do. He'd tried everything, rebooted nav, purged the fusion lines, kicked the damn console. No go. He was going to die out here. He leaned back, staring at the blackness outside. Stars blinked lazily in the void. Beautiful, empty, silent. That's when the static crackled, a whisper across the comms, faint, garbled, alien. He sat up, double quotes, .in need, repair. He scrambled to the console. The transmission was bouncing, off local debris fields, untraceable still. His voice snapped through the mic. Yes, I'm stranded. My name is Eli Vance, independent cargo operator, IDO 0467 Alpha, Silence, transmitting coordinates, no move. The signal cut. A few minutes later, a shimmer outside the viewport revealed something impossible. A space station, no beacon, no known design, hidden behind a field of asteroids like a crouched predator. It should not exist, as if summoned by his last breath. A ship launched from the hidden station, sleek, dark, soundless. It latched onto his vessel with magnetic clamps, and the airlock hissed with life. Eli backed away from the door as it cycled open. She stepped through the steam, like a ghost from a dream. Tall, slender, humanoid, but not human. Her skin had a slight shimmer, like moonlight trapped in motion. She wore a dark utility jumpsuit, streaked with grease and faded symbols he didn't recognize. Eyes like liquid mercury scanned him without a word. You, human system. Dying. Her voice was sharp, mechanical, like it was filtered through a translator chip. She approached without waiting for permission, dropped to one knee, and began removing a panel beneath his nav console. Eli blinked. Wait, who are you? What are you? She didn't answer. Instead, she pulled a strange tool from a pouch. At her hip, it wasn't metal. It flexed, shimmered like bone mixed with glass. Wires sparked. Lights flickered. The ship groaned like something waking up after a long coma. What's your name? He asked again. She paused, looked at him. Sailor. And that was it. She went back to work. No questions, no explanations, just a name. Eli sat back and watched her, mostly because there was nothing else he could do. She moved like a trained engineer, except ... faster, too fast. And the tools she used weren't any human tech he'd seen, even in black market circuits. She wasn't just patching the ship, she was rewriting it. An hour later, the lights were back, engines on standby, life support back to green. Eli could finally breathe again. Literally. He exhaled, tension leaking from his spine like water. I don't know how to thank you. She didn't respond. Instead, she stood, walked toward the corridor, paused in the doorway to the engine room. Need rest, she said. You're what? You're staying. Ship not stable. I'll finish later. Rest now. She disappeared into the darkness, as if it were her own home. Eli didn't know whether to feel relieved or suspicious. She'd saved his life, but something wasn't right. No one gives that kind of help in deep space. Not without a price. Hours later, the hum of systems was comforting. Eli drifted off in his chair, exhaustion weighing him down. At some point, he thought he saw her standing above him, staring at his neural link interface near his temple. But maybe that was a dream. When he woke, the lights were dimmed, and the console was displaying a new icon, a rotating glyph he couldn't identify. He rubbed his eyes, checked the ship's registry. Something was different. The system software had changed. Some of the code was no longer in English, or any Earth language. He stumbled toward the engine room. The door was cracked open. He pushed it gently. Inside, Sailor stood with her back to him, hunched over a glowing panel, wires running through her fingers like threads in a loom. Her jumpsuit was unzipped, partway down her back. Eli froze, not because of the intimacy, but because of what he saw beneath the fabric. Her spine had been replaced, or augmented with thin, shimmering plates that pulsed with light. Alien circuitry was fused into her skin, wrapping round her vertebrae like ivy. It clicked softly as she moved. Then, without turning, she spoke. "You should not be awake." I was checking something," he stammered. "My systems. They're different." She zipped up slowly, turned to face him. Her expression was unreadable. Her silver eyes pulsed faintly. "Ship was dying. I saved it." "You didn't just save it, you rewrote parts of it. My neural link, there's code in there now I don't recognize." She paused. "I optimized. Your systems were ... primitive." He stared at her. "You installed alien tech into my ship, into me, without permission. You would have died. That doesn't mean you get to listen." Her voice was sharp now. "You asked no question when I saved you. Now you demand answers. Do you always fear what you do not understand?" There was silence. The ship seemed to hold its breath with them. Eli finally asked, "What are you really doing here?" She looked at him, and for the first time, he saw something behind her calm exterior. Fear. She stepped closer, lowered her voice. "I escaped. From them. From the humans who took me and changed me. I am not mechanic. I am ... witness, weapon, prisoner." Eli's breath caught. Sailor touched the side of her neck. A soft pulse of light flickered under her skin. "They are coming. They will see your ship as compromised. Because it touched me." She stared at him, eyes cold and clear. "You can run, or you can help me. But either way they're already tracking us." Then the console behind them lit up. Motion sensors. A vessel was approaching. Not alien. Human. What she installed while he slept. The vessel was human. But Eli had never seen that kind of ship before. It glided silently through space, almost predatory in its shape, lean, dark, and angular, with no visible insignia or transponder, no ID beacons, no communication attempt. Just watching from the viewport, Eli could see its hull gleaming, its engines thrumming with a deep, silent hum, only detectable through the ship's sensors. A Cloak-class cruiser, illegal under Earth fleet standards, which made one thing clear: it wasn't here to help. "They've found me," Sailor said, her voice quiet. "No fear, just acceptance." "Faster than I expected." Eli turned sharply. "You said humans did this to you, but you never said which humans." She didn't answer. Instead, she moved quickly toward the console and ran her fingers across the newly installed interface, the alien glyphs glowing under her touch. "What are they going to do if they board us?" Her eyes flicked toward him. "Erase the evidence, and anyone attached to it." "You mean me?" "They will not distinguish between us." The lights flickered briefly, but enough to trigger Eli's instinct. The ship had powered something new, something deeper. He glanced at the panel. There was a new subdirectory in the system, hidden behind an encrypted layer, one that hadn't existed yesterday. "Sailor, what did you install while I was asleep?" She didn't look up. "Protection." "That's not an answer. I made your ship invisible to some of their sensors, but not all. You asked no questions when I saved you. Now you wish I had done less." "I'm not accusing you," Eli said, voice rising slightly. "But it's my ship, my neural interface, and you rewired both without asking. I want to know what I'm carrying before some Black Ops death squad boards me." Her eyes glimmered. "Then listen." She gestured to the screen. The interface shifted, displaying a holographic schematic, not of his ship, but of a different vessel, sleek, organic-looking, not human-made. "That was my transport. Years ago, before your people took it, before they took me." Eli stared. The vessel in the image looked like a living creature, curled into itself. "They pulled us into a gravity net. Said it was routine inspection. They lied. They were collecting, studying, extracting." She tapped her collarbone, and a small embedded light blinked beneath her skin. "They couldn't understand my tech, so they grafted it to human systems. To me, I became the conduit." Eli exhaled. "And now it's part of my ship. Part of you too," she added. He blinked. "What? You have a neural link?" "I didn't just optimize the ship. I interface control synced you to it. You merged me with alien technology." She gave a nod. "To survive. That ship out there, it won't scan you as fully human anymore. That's why they're hesitating." Eli stepped back, heartbeat hammering. "This was bigger than some back alley rescue. You dragged me into a war I didn't even know existed." "You were already in it," Sailor said. You just didn't realize you were on the losing side. Outside, the unknown human ship began its maneuver. No weapons fired, no warnings. It simply moved, slow, deliberate, and then latched onto them. With a magnetic lock, the lights dimmed. The docking clamps whined. A voice crackled through the comms. But it wasn't a broadcast. It was direct. Inside Eli's neural implant. Eli Vance. Stand down. Surrender the asset. Eli winced, grabbing his temple. Do not resist. We are authorized to reclaim compromised technologies by any means. The voice was calm. Too calm. Synthetic. Sailor's face darkened. They're using Ghost Protocol. An AI intermediary. That means they've given up negotiating. Meaning what? Meaning they're here to kill us. The airlock hissed. Footsteps echoed, not rushed, but steady, confident, like they knew every inch of this ship already. Eli grabbed the emergency tool from the wall, a glorified wrench, and stood beside the corridor. The first intruder stepped through. Human mid-40s, clean-shaven, in black tactical gear, with no insignia. He carried no visible weapon, but a neural command. Ring glowed faintly around his temple. He looked at Eli. Been a long time, he said. Eli froze. Rourke. It couldn't be. Captain Aaron Rourke, Eli's old mentor from Earthfleet, had been dead for 5 years. You were declared KIA. Rourke smiled faintly. And you were supposed to stay out of black zones. Sailor stepped beside Eli, expression hardening. Don't listen, she said. That's not Rourke. That's an echo, a shell. Rourke tilted his head. You still talking to alien prisoners like they're people? Vance. Eli's mind spun. It didn't feel like a hallucination. This was Rourke. The voice, the stance, the way he said his name. You're working with them. I am them, Rourke replied. We're not enemies, Eli. You're just caught in something you don't understand. I'm trying to. Rourke gestured at Sailor. She's not who you think she is. You think she escaped. No, she's bait. We let her out. We tracked her. And now, you led her to a human ship. To you, you're the perfect retrieval system. Eli's grip on the tool tightened. She saved my life. No, she tied your life to hers, Rourke said. You're now a carrier of proprietary interface code. Do you even know what that means? The tech in your head. You could map hyperspace distortions, breach restricted zones, overwrite galactic borders. That makes you valuable, or dangerous. Sailor added. To them. Rourke looked at her, annoyed. Eli, he said, stepping forward. Come with me. We can purge the interface safely. Wipe the code. You'll walk away clean. Eli glanced at Sailor. What happens to her? Rourke didn't answer. That was enough. Eli lifted the tool. Get off my ship. The next seconds were chaos. A second operative lunged from the shadows, but Sailor was faster. She pressed her palm to the wall, and the ship responded. A blinding pulse of light, not lethal, but enough to disable neural implants. The intruders dropped. Twitching, Rourke gasped, grabbing his head. You idiot. You don't know what she's done to you. Eli stood over him. No, but I know what you did to her. Rourke's neural ring sparked. He slumped. The hallway went quiet. They dragged the unconscious bodies into the holding bay. Eli leaned against the wall, breathing hard. They were tracking her. You said they let you escape. Sailor nodded. To follow me to something they couldn't find themselves. What? She looked him in the eyes. Later that night, Eli couldn't sleep. He sat in the cockpit, staring at the stars. His hands trembled. His neural interface was buzzing faintly. Not painful, just active, like it was running background programs. Sailor, he said, when she walked in, am I infected or enhanced? She paused. Both. Can it be reversed? A pause. No. He nodded slowly. Somehow, he already knew. She sat beside him. For a while, they said nothing. Then she whispered, I didn't lie to you. Eli glanced at her. I never meant for you to get pulled in. But once I saw how your mind worked, how you thought instead of obeyed. She looked down. I knew you might survive the interface. Most died. Great, Eli muttered. So I'm a lucky guinea pig. No, you're something they didn't predict. She turned to him. You're unmapped. You weren't in their systems. You're an anomaly. That's why the code bonded with you. That's why they're afraid. A silence passed between them. Not fear, not trust. Something fragile in between. Then the console beeped. A signal had gone out. Someone had activated. A remote trace, not from inside but from outside the ship. Eli looked at Sailor. What is it? She paled. they're not the only ones tracking us anymore. The dead man's code, the new signal, wasn't a transmission. It was a pulse, low-frequency, subspace. It repeated every 11 seconds, like a heartbeat reverberating through the walls of the universe. No language, no encryption, just a single rhythmic pattern that made Eli's skin crawl. He sat in the cockpit, staring at the readouts. The signal wasn't coming from any known ship. It came from a dead region of space. No stars, no stations, no known travel lanes. Uncharted.sae Law stood beside him, silent. Her expression was unreadable, but her posture had shifted, alert, tense. That signal, Eli said, it's not yours. Not the humans either. So what is it? Her reply came like a whisper. Something older. Eli looked at her, waiting, but she didn't elaborate. He pointed at the data. Is it alive? No, it's listening. To what? Sailor turned toward him, her voice low and cold. To you. In the engineering bay, Eli worked on isolating the interface. Sailor had installed. He didn't trust it, not because he didn't trust her, but because he no longer trusted himself. The ship responded to his thoughts now. Sometimes, screens would flicker just because he was frustrated. Sometimes the engines hummed before he gave them voice commands. He wasn't flying the ship anymore. He was merged with it. While cross-checking the power grid, Eli found something buried in the data logs, a file with a timestamp from 5 years ago. He blinked. That was impossible. This ship hadn't existed then. He'd only acquired it 3 years ago. He opened the file. A video log played. Static at first, then a man appeared. Rourke. Alive. Younger. Not aged. Not in a Black Ops uniform. Wearing the standard Earth fleet. Issue from their early days. Eli stared at the recording. If you're watching this, Vance, it means you made it past level 1 sync. It also means you've got the interface inside you now. The Rourke on screen leaned forward. They used me to test it first. That was my punishment. But the code rejected me. Said my neural patterns were already too predictable. But you always had an edge. I'm sorry. He tapped his head. They'll send the synthetic copy of me after you. It'll look like me, sound like me. Don't believe it. That version is theirs. This one is the truth. And the truth is, this tech isn't ours. It's a relic. A cosmic map. It doesn't just let you travel through space. It lets you redraw it. That's why they need it. Why they need you. But it'll kill you unless you sink fully. And once you do, there's no going back. The screen flickered. Cut to black. Eli sat there, staring at the console. He wasn't just carrying alien tech. He was carrying a cosmic rewriting algorithm. Something that could alter how space itself was structured. Sailor, he called. You knew about this, didn't you? She stood at the doorway, eyes dim with something like shame. Yes, you didn't tell me. You would have resisted. You should have let me. I couldn't, she said softly. You're the only one who survived the implant. You're the only one who might control it. Eli stood. Why me? She stepped forward. Because you think in patterns they can't predict. You don't follow rules. You question everything. That makes your neural signature ... unstable. Unstable, he echoed. Great. She didn't smile. He ran a hand through his hair, trying to hold onto some thread of normalcy. So what now? Some ancient force out there heard me thinking. Too loud, and it wants the tech back. Wants, she echoed. No, it doesn't want anything. She walked to the console, tapped a few keys. A holographic star map flared to life. She pointed to the center, the source of the signal. There, she said. That's the anomaly core, a region wiped from all charts, forbidden to approach. Why? Because those who go don't return. Lovely. But now, she added, the signal is awake. Because it's detected a mapmaker again. One it didn't create. You mean me? You're an error, Sailor said. An unsanctioned node in its system. Eli stared at her. And what does it do with errors? Her silence was answer enough. That night, Eli reviewed the interface logs. It was alive in a way, not conscious, but responsive. It was drawing patterns in the background, trying to overlay paths across the galaxy, bending known space into something unfamiliar. But more disturbing was what he found next. Hidden beneath the navigation layer was a compartmentalized memory block, encrypted. But the access logs showed it had been opened 3 times, once by Saela, once by him, and once by someone else. He froze. Sailor, he called. Did anyone else have access to the interface? She walked in. brow furrowed. No. Why? Because someone's been in the memory. She rushed to the screen. He expanded the access record. The ID tag was foreign, not human, not hers. And it wasn't recent. It accessed this 5 years ago. That's impossible, she said. No, Eli said slowly. That's when Rourke's message was dated. Someone else knew this interface existed before you found me. She swallowed. What if, Eli continued, this wasn't an accident? What if I was meant to find this? The ship lurched suddenly. Alarms blared. A new signal had arrived. This one, not just a pulse. It was a location, a jump coordinate, burned directly into the nav console. Eli stared at it. It wants me to go there, he said. Sailor shook her head. That's a trap. Maybe, but if it's a trap, it means we're closer to something they're trying to hide. They entered the coordinates. The stars warped. Space folded. When they dropped out of FTL, they weren't near a star system. They weren't near anything. Just an endless field of black. No light. No reflection. Then, slowly, something appeared. A shape. Massive. Floating silently. Not a station. Not a ship. A monument. Constructed from alien alloys. Covered in glyphs. That shimmered faintly with a light older than language. Eli leaned forward. What is that? Sailor stared in horror. That's a tomb node. A what? Where the mapmakers were. Buried. Or contained. Eli narrowed his eyes. Then, why is it awake? The final shock came when the console buzzed again. A communication video. Feed. Eli accepted it reluctantly. The screen lit up. Rourke again. But this time, older, scarred, different than either version he'd seen before. He leaned forward. You made it good. That means you're still alive. Eli gaped. What is this? This is my final copy. The real me. I uploaded this message years ago, knowing someday the interface might choose someone. Looks like it chose you. Listen carefully, Eli. The tomb you're looking at isn't just a grave, it's a key, one of several. Each key can awaken or silence the core anomaly. You need to decide. If you activate it, the galaxy changes, borders bend, travel becomes uncontrollable. But if you destroy it, we lose the only chance at free movement. No more oppression, no more locked systems. Choose, but understand this, once you decide, it can't be undone. The screen faded. Eli sat in silence. Sailor was staring at him. Do you believe him? She asked. I don't know, Eli whispered. I don't know what to believe anymore. Then believe in the only constant, she said quietly. Yourself. Eli stood slowly, walking toward the console. He raised his hand. The interface flickered. One option glowed in gold. Awaken the tomb node. The other, seal it forever. He hesitated then. Just before his fingers touched the panel, the ship's sensors screamed a vessel was coming fast. It wasn't human. It wasn't Sailor's species. It was something else. And it was coming for the node. Or, for him, the secret human ship. The pull wasn't physical. Not like gravity. Not like magnetics. Eli's body jerked forward as though an invisible thread ran from the depths of the tomb node to something deep inside his neural implant. His fingers twitched. The interface responded, even though he hadn't issued a command. Sailor grabbed his arm. Ilarisit, I'm trying, he shouted, sweat breaking across his brow. On the console, the options flickered wildly. Awaken, seal. Awaken, seal. The node wasn't waiting for his conscious decision. It was reaching into him, testing whether the interface code had fully merged. It hadn't, and it was angry. Then, a jarring metallic sound echoed through the ship, not from outside, but from the inner hull. Sailor's eyes went wide. That's not external. That's from inside. Eli looked at her, frozen. Are you saying we've been boarded? No, she said grimly. I'm saying someone never left. They raced to the lower deck. The sound grew louder, a rhythmic pounding, like footsteps inside the hull, echoing, slow, deliberate. In the engine maintenance corridor, a side panel had been pried open from the inside, and standing in the dim red glow was a man. Human. Disheveled, beard overgrown, dressed in a torn black uniform bearing an Earth insignia long discontinued. He turned slowly. Eli's jaw dropped. Raw, but no, the face was familiar, eerily so, but the eyes were hollow, gray. Sailor stepped back. It's a shadow copy, failed synthetic, a residual echo. The man's mouth twisted into a crooked smile. You're too late, it said. It's already begun sinking. Eli raised his weapon, a short-range magnetic pulse pistol. Back off. What are you? I'm what happens when a human tries to rewrite the stars, it whispered, and fails. The being lunged. Eli fired. The magnetic blast struck its chest, slamming it against the wall. Sparks flew. The synthetic's form twisted, its flesh splitting, revealing interwoven circuitry beneath. Sailor surged forward, placing her hand against the wall. A pulse of energy raced through the floor. The synthetic froze, limbs locking, then convulsed, shrieked, and melted into a pile of smoking tech flesh. Panting, Eli dropped to one knee. That was inside my ship the whole time. Sailor nodded. It was dormant, waiting to kill you before full sink. Then why didn't it? Because you're sinking faster than it expected. Back in the cockpit, the console had stabilized. The tomb node hung in space, silent once more, but the decision screen remained, awaiting choice, awaiting him. Eli stared at it. I have the ability to reshape borders, routes, access points across the galaxy. Yes, Sailor said. That's what the node was designed to do. The first mapmaker species didn't just chart the stars, they bent them. And now I can do that, he said slowly. Redraw political boundaries, change how factions move through space, undermine empires. Yes, but I could also throw the entire galaxy into chaos. Yes, Eli turned. Why did your people try to stop it? She looked away. Because we built ships, fleets, weapons. But the humans found the mapmaker first. They didn't use it to explore, they used it to control. Cut off entire species, starved colonies, waged wars without firing shots. Just moved the borders and watched civilizations collapse. That's what this tech can do, Eli murmured. Sailor met his gaze. And that's why I stole it, hid it, hoped someone better would be chosen next time. He laughed bitterly. And I'm the better choice. You haven't killed me. That's already better than most. Eli sat in the pilot's seat, staring at the blinking cursor. Then the console chimed. Incoming signal. A cloaked vessel was decloaking near the tomb. Human design, but larger than any cruiser Eli had seen. Almost experimental jet black. Angles like a predator. No lights, no insignia. Sailor's eyes narrowed. That's the Black Lantern. The what? A secret Earth faction ship. Built using mapmaker blueprints. The comms crackled. A voice came through, rich, calm, and human. Eli Vance, you've come farther than we expected. We'd like to speak, face to face. Eli hesitated. You think I'm just going to let you board? No, which is why we're inviting you. Dock with us. You'll be safe. Eli muted the channel, turned to Sailor. What do you think? She hesitated. They're not killers. They're recruiters. They don't destroy people like you. They weaponize them. Then maybe it's time we found out what they really want. They docked as the airlock opened. Eli was immediately struck by the pristine sterility of the Black Lantern's interior. Every surface gleamed. Soft lights. No visible guards, but he could feel the surveillance. At the center of the welcoming bay stood a woman in a dark coat, her hair silver, eyes sharp. Mr. Vance, she said. I'm Director Kira Thorne. Welcome aboard. Eli glanced around. Nice place. Bit ominous. She smiled faintly. We try. He folded his arms. Let's skip the pleasantries. Why bring me here? She gestured toward a long window. Outside, the tomb node hovered, quiet, still glowing softly. That, she said, is the most dangerous relic in the galaxy. And you are the only living being who can control it. Sounds like a problem. For everyone else, she agreed, but not for us. You see, we don't want to control you, Mr. Vance. We want to offer you a partnership. Eli laughed. Let me guess. Help redraw the galaxy in your favor. Wipe out your enemies. Secure trade lanes. No, she said simply. We want to end the galactic stalemate. You can give access to the blocked systems. Release refugee populations. Reconnect dead sectors. You could reset balance. Eli stared at her. I've heard that pitch before, but never from someone who wasn't holding a gun to your head. Eli looked toward the tomb. And if I say no, her smile didn't falter. Then we will wish you well, and release you. Just like that. No, Sailor's voice came from behind. She had followed silently. They'll let you leave, but not unaltered. Director Thorne looked at her, still suspicious. Sailor, you were the one who tried to harvest me. That was another time, another agenda. Eli's eyes darted between them. You two know each other. Briefly, Sailor said. Before I escaped, Thorne's gaze was cold now. You left a trail of dead engineers. They were trying to turn me into a processor. Thorne turned back to Eli. You see, Mr. Vance, the universe is not black and white. Sometimes you must make choices for the greater good. You've been given power, and whether you like it or not, power demands action. Eli stepped closer to the window. The node still pulsed, waiting. Patient, he turned. I'll think about it. Thorne nodded. That's all we ask. Back on Eli's ship, Sailor paced. She's lying, she said. They'll wait until you unlock the tomb, then either kill you or clone the code. I know. Then why let them speak at all? Because I needed to hear the lie to understand the truth. She frowned. And what truth is that? Eli looked at her. That they're scared. Because I'm not who they wanted. I'm not a soldier. I'm not obedient. I'm free. He stepped to the console. The decision still hovered. Awaken, seal. He raised his hand. I'm not doing either, he said. SAE, La blinked. What? Eli smirked. I'm rewriting the rewrite. He dove into the code. The interface opened like a living machine, layers upon layers of code revealing ancient instructions, parameters for how space could be folded, corridors could be hidden, gates could be bent. But Eli didn't want to follow instructions, he wanted to break them. He injected a new variable, one that hadn't existed in the system, autonomy. He built a recursive loop that didn't just alter routes, it released them, made space reactive to organic signatures rather than political ones. He was no longer redrawing the galaxy, he was setting it free. The console glowed white. Alarms flared. Sailor gasped. You're overriding the tomb's authority. I'm rewriting its purpose, Eli said. A pulse exploded from the ship, a shockwave of blue light that rippled across the tomb, then spread into the stars. On the black lantern, systems flickered. Frustrated voices rose in faraway sectors. Forgotten systems flickered back to life. Closed jump gates reopened. Isolated planets received data feeds for the first time in decades. Eli had broken the grid. He sat back, breath ragged. It's done. Sailor stood in awe. You didn't choose power. You gave it away. No, Eli said. I gave it back. But the console blinked one final time. New, incoming signal. Not from humans, not from the tomb, but from whatever had built the tomb in the first place. Sailor's voice dropped to a whisper. They're awake now. The ones who wrote the stars. It appeared like a shadow behind reality. At first, the sensors didn't detect it. Then light bent around something massive rippling the stars, like water disturbed by an unseen force. No energy signature, no mass reading, just presence. And then, the void spoke, not in words, not through comms, but directly into Eli's mind. You are not of the design. Yet you have touched the root. Eli staggered back from the console, clutching his head. Sailor was already beside him, supporting his weight. Eli, what's happening? I don't know. Something's inside my head. Something old, too big. It's not speaking, it's just doing. The ship's systems trembled. Holograms flickered. The map interface pulsed erratically, no longer under Eli's control. Something else had assumed primacy. Outside, the stars dimmed. The object, construct whatever it was, phased fully into their dimension. It had no clear structure. Segments spun in impossible geometric harmony, folded shapes that broke all laws of physics. Rings of starlight orbited around a core of shifting color, like a living equation. Eli whispered, "It's the architect." Sailor froze. That's not possible. The architects vanished millennia ago. Their signals stopped. Everyone thought the tomb nodes were leftovers. Eli's neural implant buzzed again. The presence returned. You broke the chains. You opened the path without permission. This was not foreseen. Eli gritted his teeth. I didn't mean to. I was trying to free the system. You do not understand what was imprisoned. You broke the seal, and the equation is now incomplete. On the console, strange symbols appeared, spiraling, converging. They weren't just coordinates. They were instructions. Sailor, Eli gasped. It's showing me something. A new pattern. But it's not navigation, it's restoration. It wants me to finish what I started. Or he looked up at the construct. Or it's going to erase me. Meanwhile, on the black lantern, Director Thorne was staring at her ship's corrupted systems. Every screen displayed the same symbol, a rotating loop of impossibly old glyphs that no human coder could decipher. Report, she snapped. Interface, breach, level 7 override. Her AI replied. Unknown language, origin, non-human, possibly architect class. Get me Vance, she barked. No response. Then prepare override sequence and deploy harvester drones. Back on Eli's ship, the architect's voice continued pulsing through Eli's consciousness. You carry unauthorized iteration. The root protocol must complete. The anomaly must be resolved. I don't have the full code. Eli shouted, sweat dripping from his brow. False. You are the code. He blinked. What? Sailor turned sharply. What did it say? That I'm not carrying the code. The code. She looked stunned. No wonder you survived the neural sync. The interface didn't just bond with you. It rewrote you. You're not human anymore, not fully. Eli looked at his hands. They trembled, but not from fear, from resonance. His body was humming at a frequency that didn't belong in this universe. Then what am I? Before she could answer, a warning siren shrieked through the ship. Multiple incoming targets. Sailor shouted. Black Lantern has launched drones. Boarding units. Of course they did, Eli muttered. They waited until I solved the problem and now they want to take it. The hull groaned as the first drone latched onto the outer rim, then another, then 5 more. A buzzing chorus filled the ship like mechanical wasps drilling through steel. Eli and Sailor sprinted for the armory. She handed him a short-range plasma baton and strapped one to her thigh. This is suicide, he muttered, but fine, let's die interesting. The inner hull burst open. 3 drones slithered inside quadruped, sleek, with spines that hummed and optics glowing red. They scanned the room instantly. Engaging, Sailor whispered, and leaped. Her movements were a blur. Years of enhanced training. She flipped over one drone and drove the baton into its sensor array. A burst of blue light shut down. Eli swung clumsily at another, landing a glancing hit. It shrieked and backed up, launching a tether. Eli ducked, barely missing the arc of electric thread. Sailor spun, disabling the last 2 drones in seconds. The silence afterward felt heavier than the fight. They're testing us, Sailor panted, measuring response time. Eli stepped toward the breached corridor. Then let's show them what happens when the test subject rewrites the exam. He returned to the console. The architect's presence was still there, waiting. Proceed to final configuration. Reintegration is required. What if I say no? Then your species ends here. As an error. Eli closed his eyes, and he finally understood. The architects hadn't vanished. They had withdrawn. They weren't gods. They were system curators, maintaining a galactic logic that had fractured after their disappearance. The mapmakers weren't tools. They were symmetry enforcers. And the tomb wasn't a grave. It was a lockbox, and Eli had just cracked it open in a single breath. Eli activated the final integration. His body went rigid. The console exploded in light, symbols racing across every surface. Sailor cried out, backing away as Eli lifted into the air, caught in a stream of shimmering code. The architect's voice deepened, initiating recursive merge. Design restored. Organic anchor confirmed. Eli's mind expanded. He could see across systems now. He felt space itself bend in his thoughts. The closed borders, the corrupted roots, the scars left by human manipulation. All of it was visible to him, and he saw the original design, elegant, balanced, peaceful, not enforced by war, but by coexistence. The map wasn't meant to divide. It was a tool to prevent conflict, but humans and others had twisted it into a cage, and now he had the chance to rebuild it. The Black Lantern launched its final gambit, a massive tether embedded with a signal disruption field pierced through Eli's hull and latched onto the core interface. Director Thorne's voice crackled through the comms. Eli, you don't know what you're doing. That thing is using you. Stop now, and we can extract you safely. Eli opened his eyes. They glowed. I'm not being used, he said. I'm being upgraded. He raised his hand. The tether shivered and then shattered, atomized by raw spatial distortion. He turned to Sailor. I need you to leave. She blinked. What? I'm not going to be me much longer. Not in a way you'll recognize. I'm not leaving you. You have to. I need a witness, someone to carry the truth. Someone unconnected. I am connected, she said fiercely. Whether I like it or not. Eli smiled, softly. Then let's rewrite this together. The final sequence began. The architect pulsed. The stars bent. The node dissolved into cascading fragments, reshaping itself into something new. A central anchor point, orbiting data clusters, navigation fields, a living, breathing map. But this time, Instead of creating fixed routes, Eli encoded fluidity. The network would respond to need, not power, to intention, not ownership. It would deny warpaths and reward harmony. It wasn't just a map anymore. It was a guardian, one that no empire could control. Director Thorne watched from the Black Lantern's bridge. "Pull back," she said. "But ma'am, the system is still vulnerable." "No," she whispered, "it's not anymore." They withdrew, slowly, quietly. She knew. The age of domination was over. The galaxy had just been reboote. In the final moments, Eli's form began to glow, not burning, not dissolving. Transcending. Sae stepped forward, tears in her eyes. "Eli," he turned to her one last time. "You were right," he said, voice distant, layered. "It was never about borders. It was always about people." "Then come back." "I can't, but I'll still be here. In every jump, every corridor, every path that leads home." He smiled and vanished into the light. The human who became a star map. A week had passed. Not that time felt the same anymore. Across the galaxy, something had changed, not just in how ships traveled, but in the very feel of space. Pilots stopped relying on charts. They began feeling the right directions. Entire fleets found their weapons disabled mid-jump. Gates once owned by empires had opened to refugees and merchants. Space was no longer neutral territory. It had become aware, and its awareness had a name: Eli Vance. On a moonless world far from trade routes, Sailor stood before a monument, simple, curved from metal that hummed faintly, a single glyph etched on its face. The symbol didn't belong to any species, not hers, not human, that it was Eli's, carved into the universe by the man who chose to give up everything. She touched the glyph, and it responded. Flashback, the final moments before Eli vanished. The architect's system had accepted him, not just as a user, but as a core logic structure. He didn't upload into it, he became it. His thoughts, his principles, his sense of wonder and justice, they layered into the design like threads woven through an ancient tapestry. Where the architects had once imposed order, Eli offered choice. Where they had programmed rigidity, he encoded compassion. He didn't just alter the star map, he redefined what it meant to travel, and in doing so, he erased himself, not out of self-sacrifice, out of something deeper, hope. Now, across the galaxy, the change was undeniable. A smuggler fleeing through a disputed zone felt her engine stall, not by damage, but by intent. A ghostly whisper told her, "Turn back, there is death ahead." She did, and later, learned a minefield had been activated at her former coordinates. A child lost on a colony world saw a glowing path in the sand, blue streaks that led him home, safely through jagged canyons. A warlord sent ships to claim a planet. They never arrived, not destroyed, just redirected, to a lifeless system where they sat, immobilized, as their jump logs looped endlessly. The galaxy had a new kind of governance, not from power, but from presence, from a man who no longer had a body, but never truly left. Back with Sailor, she received a signal, faint, fragmented, but unmistakably alive. It came from a sector previously classified as dead space. The pulse carried an echo, one word repeated through dimensional distortion. "Sailor," she gasped. "Eli." She raced back to her ship, one of the few still capable of navigating the new map's emotional response corridors. It wasn't a matter of fuel or power anymore. You had to mean where you wanted to go. You had to feel it. She closed her eyes, thought of the day he saved her, the nights fixing the ship, the terrible silence before he changed, and she whispered, "Take me to him." The ship responded. The jump was unlike any before, fluid, quiet, with no sensation of motion. She opened her eyes. She was in a place with no stars, just a single, floating construct, glowing, shifting, beautiful. At its center, a core of swirling light, like a beating heart, like a presence. She stepped outside in an EVA suit, floated closer. "Eli," she said. No voice responded, but the stars around her aligned, formed words. "You came." Her throat tightened. "I thought you were gone." "Not gone, just changed." She reached out. The light grew warmer. "This place is the Nexus. I'm not just in it, I am it. Every route, every corridor, every possibility. But I'm still me," she whispered. "Are you happy?" A long pause. Then, "I miss being human, but I don't regret it." She blinked away tears. "Can you ever come back?" "No, but you can come forward. There's more to build, and I can't do it alone. Across the galaxy, others like Sailor began noticing something. The map was changing again, not chaotically, but maturing. New gates formed, old ones faded. Some species found easier access, others lost their monopolies. Wasn't punishment, it was balance. And more importantly, it was transparent. Every jump left a record. Every alteration could be reviewed. Even the great powers had no backdoors. Not anymore. Trade was up, conflict was down, but something stranger happened too. People stopped asking who was in charge. They started asking what they could contribute. The map didn't respond to rank. It responded to intention, to kindness, to truth. On Earth, Director Thorne stood before the Galactic Council, stripped of command. Her plan to weaponize the interface had failed. Her secrets were exposed. But she wasn't angry, just tired. We tried to control the galaxy, she told them. He chose to listen to it instead. Do you fear what he's become? One counselor asked. She shook her head. I fear what we would have become without him. In time, people gave him a name, not a title, not a number. Just a name passed between species, whispered in fear or in awe, depending on who told the story. The Star Guide, a myth, a mystery, a map that cared. But Sailor knew the truth. He had no throne, no fleet, no army, just a choice. A man who once piloted a broken-down ship in a forgotten quadrant, who looked at the universe not as a thing to conquer, but as a place to heal. Years later, in a classroom on a border world, a child asked, "Teacher, is the Star Guide real?" The teacher smiled gently. "Do you mean Eli Vance?" The child nodded. Double quotes, "Yes, he's real," the teacher said. "But he's not a man anymore. He's the reason you can go anywhere, without asking permission. He's why this classroom even exists. He's why there are no more war gates or toll zones. But where is he?" The teacher looked out the window. "He's everywhere there's motion. Everywhere there's need. If you close your eyes and really mean it, he'll hear you. In the nexus, where reality bends like silk." Sailor stood beside the core. No longer just a visitor. She had begun to change to not like Eli, not fully merged, but she was now the anchor he once was. When the galaxy called, she listened. When balance shifted, she steadied it. And when people lost their way, her voice appeared in the corridors. "Don't be afraid, you're not alone. Let the stars carry you." She smiled softly. Eli's presence flickered beside her, not a body, but a shimmer of consciousness. Warm, familiar. They don't need a ruler, they just need a reminder that the galaxy was meant to be shared. She whispered, "We'll make sure they never forget." And together, they watched the stars realign, not by force, but by trust. Final message broadcast to all ships. Untraceable origin. This galaxy belongs to everyone. No one should own the stars. Let them guide you. Let them teach you. And when you're ready, guide others home. Eli Vance, Stargwith, End.